Hi, sweetie. You're just taking it all in? What is that? What is that, huh? You're just a curious little girl. Yeah, you're just a curious little girl. Hey. Little squeaky one, little pipsqueaks. Hi guys, it's Amanda with Eat, Pray, Crunch, and welcome to my first postpartum update. I'm 2 weeks postpartum now, and now that I've had a little break off from YouTube, I thought I would use this time to give you an update of what's been happening the last 2 weeks since she's been born. If you haven't already seen it, I just filmed my birth story as well. So if you haven't seen that, go check out that video. I'll link it down below. And yeah, so let's get started. I'll talk a little about how things are going for her and for me postpartum. First of all, of course we're biased, but we think she's absolutely perfect. We just love this little girl so much. She is, I'll talk about her first. She is just the most chill little thing. She was ready to nurse, so we're just going to do that while I film here. But yeah, my predictions about her temperament were right, since she seemed so chill when she was in the womb, and that I thought that might be an indicator that she would have a really mellow personality when she came out, because that's how it was with my son as well, and I was right. She's the most easygoing baby. She's just so happy. She fusses when she's hungry and when she's cold, and that's about it. So yeah, really easy to keep her happy. The first couple nights she actually slept like a 6-hour stretch at night, and that didn't last, and I know that that's just like the first couple nights. Newborns can do that, but even still at this point, like, she's pretty consistently doing a 4-hour stretch at night, which we are so thankful for. We are already starting a bedtime routine with her, and we put her to bed when we go to bed later at night, just so that the time that she's sleeping correlates with the time that we're sleeping, especially that 4-hour stretch. And so, but we have started a bedtime routine with her just to kind of start the sleep training process. Basically, all that entails is putting her in her little jammies and swaddling her tight, and then nursing her, like, and I usually will just like give her a really good long nursing, and then I put her in the co-sleeper that's by her bed, and she usually just goes straight to sleep. It's great. And yeah, she'll usually wake up about 4 hours later, and I will nurse her in bed. Since she's second baby, like, I've nursed before, I'm really thankful that I know how to nurse while side-lying now. Because then I can continue to rest. Even if I'm not fully asleep, I can continue to rest while nursing her. So I usually do that in the middle of the night, and then just put her right back in bed, and she keeps sleeping. It's kind of like a sleepy feed, or what do they call that? A moonlight feed? I have a term for it. I can't remember what it is. She's still mostly asleep, but is nursing. And she will usually go like a 3-hour stretch after that. And then I will feed her again in the early morning, and then, you know, maybe sleep for another hour or so after that, and before Alex wakes up for the day. So that's been going really well. The first couple nights, Alex's sleep was worse than hers. We had, you know, I told you about the sleep troubles we've been having with him, and the first few nights it was really rough with Alex. He had, you know, he was doing what he was doing before, where he like woke up and was like tantruming at like 4 or 5 times in the night. It was awful. Yeah, like she was sleeping beautifully and he was not. And so the reason we weren't sleeping the first few nights was actually because of my 2-year-old, not because of the newborn. We ended up doing some more crying it out with him because like nothing else was working. He was crying when we were there, he was crying when we weren't there, like he was just completely out of sorts. So, and I'm pretty sure it had to do with this big change, and I think it was a developmental thing just at age 2. So yeah, oh, those first few nights were rough. Poor Alex. I feel like this transition was actually a little more difficult for him than it was for the rest of us. You know, it's hard for a 2-year-old to understand what's going on. Like, we had talked about it so much, like he knew that this change was coming. But once it was actually here, I think it was, you know, kind of emotionally difficult for him. And he was very interested in her. It wasn't even so much that he doesn't like her, but it was just more of an issue of him feeling like I was not as available as I was before, and that was very difficult for him emotionally. So, and it's totally understandable, and poor little guy. Those first few days were, and even the first week was pretty rough. But actually just in the last few days, he's really started coming around. After we did a few nights of Cry It Out, like he seemed to really start going back to his normal sleep pattern again. So we are so thankful for that. So yeah, so I feel like we're getting, you know, a fair amount of sleep. Probably a total of 5 or 6 hours in the night. With, you know, just because I am waking in the night to feed her. Having a brand new newborn in the house, that's not too bad. So I'll take it. And you know, we're just trying to get better, going to bed a little bit earlier, just because, you know, we know that with a newborn you're going to be woken up in the night. So, you know, if you're going to get more sleep, you got to go to bed earlier, especially when you're a second-time mom, because you can't just stay in bed until you've gotten enough sleep like you can the first time around. I kind of miss being able to do that like I could with Alex. But it really just means going to bed earlier. So we're working on that. At the 1 week mark, yeah, we took her to our nurse practitioner, which is, she's our primary care physician, and had her newborn exam. And, you know, she actually she did have a little bit of yellow in the whites of her eyes and a little bit in her skin. So we were wondering if she was a little bit jaundiced. So we went and we did the blood draw with her for that. And I guess her bilirubin level was 13, which is, you know, it's not to the point where they need to have the Billy lights. But you know, she just said that nurse a little bit more frequently, probably should be for sure nursing every 3 to 4 hours in the night, instead of doing like the 6-hour stretch like we were in the beginning. And just to help flush all of that out of her system and just keep her by natural light. So we did that, and it seems to be clearing out of her system. She's still got a little bit of yellow, but it's passing, so I think that that's under control. And during her exam, they noticed that she had a little bit of a bulge in her belly, and our nurse practitioner was just a little bit concerned about that. It's just like right up here on her belly, and she ended up calling the children's hospital and asking about that, and you know, there weren't a whole lot of other symptoms indicating that there was like something wrong with her organs or something. I was a little worried when she was like poking around like, what's wrong? But she said it was after talking to this children's physician that it was likely just an abdominal separation, kind of like what I have after being pregnant, you know. But I guess some babies are just born that way, and I'm not quite sure why. But they said that most of the time it just resolves itself. It ends up, you know, not being that big of a deal. So they're just going to monitor it and make sure that it seems to be kind of healing itself. So thankfully that ended up not being that big of a deal. So yeah, other than that, she's perfectly healthy. She nurses like a champ. She's got a really strong suck. They actually noticed that right after she was born. They noticed just how strong her suck is, and that's really good. She actually figured out how to suck on her hands. Like right after she came out, she was like sucking on her hands, and the midwife was like, wow, she's like really mature, figuring out how to self-soothe already. And so, and she does that a little bit now when she's hungry too. She finds her hands and sucks on them a little. And so yeah, so nursing is going really well. I'm really thankful for that. It took 2 days for my milk to come in, and that second day she was starting to get really hungry, just, you know, like the colostrum wasn't enough anymore. And you know, I had a postpartum hormonal moment when I just like broke down in tears, like, oh, I don't have my milk yet, my baby is starving. And then the next day my milk came in and it ended up not being a big deal. Oh, yeah, so the other thing I was just going to mention about her with her birth weight, I had a postpartum checkup in day 3 with my midwife. She came to our house. She does a home visit for that, which is awesome. Has she been pooping well?
Lots of meconium.
Yeah, she had like, what, 5 meconium poops or something?
Yeah.
Or 6 even?
No mustard yet.
Yeah, and she must have been swallowing a lot of fluid in there. Constantly. Oh, we don't like being Mickey. No, we don't.
Penguin.
You think like okay, 7 ounces? Yeah, we don't like the Mickey.
So you mentioned what?
Okay.
Oh, I see.
Hi, little pumpkin.
You can go.
There we go.
Parents like it.
Oh, we're gonna go for a ride. Here we go. Ups the daisy.
You just don't like an elephant.
She's running 7 pounds even. Okay, so she's lost 11 ounces then. So she's good. Okay. She was down to 7 pounds, so she had lost like 7 pounds even. So she had lost 11 ounces in the first couple days, which is normal. They're supposed to lose some birth weight, but she said, you know, really pick up the nursing. Now that my milk came in, it should start going up again. So by the time we got her to her doctor's appointment, she was back up to 7 pounds 5 ounces. So it was starting to go back up. They said by 2 weeks they should be back up to their birth weight. So, but she seemed like she was well on her way at the 1 week mark. So we're happy about that. Anyway, so yeah, that's what's going on with her in terms of postpartum for me. Overall, I can't believe how easy my recovery is this time compared to last time. It's just night and day. My recovery after having Alex, you know, after having such a long labor and being so exhausted, and I tore more and I was sick, all of that made my recovery just horrible my first time around. I feel like I was in bed for like 2 or 3 weeks with my first recovery, whereas this time, like I said in my birth video, like immediately after she was born, like I was up walking around, no problem. I didn't have any hip problems like I did with my first birth. Like I was able to move around, like I was able to pee right away. They always want you to pee while you're there, right, to make sure that that's functioning normally again. No trouble. Peed right away, right after birth. And even, you know, there were some lingering effects of the castor oil I had taken too, so I had some more diarrhea right after birth. But that wasn't a problem either. It was just like, whatever. Guys, sorry. I just had lost the last 15 minutes of footage because I realized that A, my memory card ran out, and B, the battery kept dying. And then when I got a new memory card in there, for whatever reason, my good camera was not working. So we are back to my little point and shoot clicky camera. So sorry about the clicky noise. Anyway, so I was telling you how I'm doing postpartum. I barely tore this time either. They said that it was such a small tear that that I didn't even need sutures at all. So, I mean, I feel like, like I haven't really had to heal in that way either. Like, I barely had to use the padsicles I made. I used them for the first like 2 days, and then I didn't even really need them anymore. So, I mean, I really haven't had any pain down there. And I can't believe how much easier it is this time. And I attribute this to 2 things. One, that it was such a faster labor this time around. I just wasn't as exhausted as I was with my first labor, and you know, I didn't go into it with as much sleep debt and exhaustion to begin with. So I think that really helped in terms of my energy. But I also attribute it to taking my placenta pills. You know, I mentioned that I was going to have my placenta encapsulated, and that's what I did. The day after I gave birth, the placenta people, but that sounds funny, the placenta people, it's like some weird sci-fi movie. Anyway, they came and took my placenta, and we had mistakenly frozen it. We forgot that we were supposed to just put it in the refrigerator, and the midwife said to freeze it when we weren't, but anyway, it worked out. We just got it a day later than we thought we would. But I really think that has been helping me with my recovery as well, especially with energy. I struggled so much. I had so little energy, was so exhausted after the first time I gave birth, whereas this time, I really think that the placenta pills have been helping with that too, just with the iron that it helps replace in your body, and just the hormones in it as well. I really think that it's helped with that as well. So, and in terms of the bleeding, I feel like I haven't bled nearly as much this time as I did the first time. Usually your bleeding is an indicator of whether you're overdoing it or not. We actually had Alex's second birthday party 4 days after I gave birth, so 4 days postpartum, and his birthday party just consisted of my parents, Bill's mom and brother, and that was it. So it was really low key. But after that, I did pass a couple golf ball size clots. I know that's really gross, but they, midwife said to call them if that happens, and I did. And they said, well, as long as your bleeding is generally slowing down, which it was, they weren't too worried about it. So yeah, I'm to the point now where I'm just wearing a light pad during the day, and that's enough. So yeah, it's really been pretty easy in terms of that this time around too. In terms of emotionally as well, I felt with my first recovery that I did have a little bit of the baby blues. It wasn't too bad, but I did get it a little. I remember having a couple days of just feeling kind of depressed. And I also really haven't felt like that's happened this time around. At most, I've had a few moments when I've just been really kind of hormonal and weepy, but it's not because I'm feeling depressed per se. It's just kind of like this, I just cry at the drop of a hat kind of thing. And now that I'm 2 weeks postpartum, I feel like that's even regulated now. I'm not even weepy at this point anymore. In the first week, I really was getting annoyed with people easily, but I feel like that's passing now too. So emotionally, I've been feeling pretty balanced. So, who knows? Could be a placebo effect, but I really am attributing it to taking my placenta pills this time. So, doesn't hurt anything, and I feel like it's really helping. The first week or so after giving birth, I did have some residual muscle soreness. You know how when you exercise really hard and then you don't feel it till the next day? it was kind of like that, where muscle soreness kind of set into all of my body, especially my pelvic muscles and my back muscles and stuff, just from labor, that I had been using those muscles unconsciously, and they kind of got sore a few days later. But at this point, most of that soreness has gone away. I still have a little bit of residual stiffness in my hips, just from pregnancy, I think. All the hip problems I had, all the hip pain I had while I was pregnant. Most of it's gone away, but just a little bit of residual stiffness from that. Also, just emotionally, in terms of how I've been feeling about my body, is really different than the first time too. I just feel so at peace about my body. It's really nice. The first time I gave birth, I didn't know fully what to expect, and that, I knew that my body would probably be somewhat saggy, but I didn't know that I would still look 6 months pregnant the day after giving birth. And so I just went into it knowing that was going to happen this time, and just respecting that, and that's how the body works, and I'm okay with it this time. And so yeah, I've been feeling really good about my body. In terms of weight, the morning that I gave birth, I weighed myself, and I gained a total of 53 pounds. And so if you guys were following my journey, I told you that was kind of what I was expecting was going to be the amount at the end. And I was right. It's 2 pounds less than it was with my first pregnancy. I gained 55 pounds with that one, 53 with this one, so pretty darn close. Yeah, in terms of weight loss, it's like the day after I gave birth, I weighed myself and I had lost 13 pounds just from giving birth. And then it's been crazy. Since then, I've been losing basically a pound a day. It's crazy. As of today, I have lost a total of 21 pounds. So that's awesome. I think a lot of that, I'm not expecting to keep that pace up. But I think I'm losing at that rate now just because of all of the water retention that I had. I was so swollen, as you guys know. The swelling has really gone down in my legs and my feet. I still have just a little bit in my shins, but I can feel it going down every day. I'm just peeing a lot, just peeing off all that fluid basically. And yeah, it's been amounting to about a pound a day of water weight lost. So that's nice that I'm down 21 pounds already. So yeah, it just makes it feel really manageable. Like I'm gonna get back down to my pre-pregnancy weight. I'll get there. And I'm not like doing any extreme measures or anything to try and lose weight right now. Other than now that I'm no longer pregnant, I am trying to not snack as much. I am trying to just eat my 3 square meals a day, and I do allow myself like one larger snack at night before bed, just because with nursing, I do get hungry, like especially at night easily. So I am allowing myself that. So my 3 meals plus my bedtime snack. And yeah, and I'm just planning on continuing to do that. And when I get to the 6-week mark, they usually give you the clear to start exercising at that point. And I really want to start walking again. I have my double stroller, and I really plan on using that with my 2 kiddos. At that point, I would like to start, ramping it up a little and getting back into shape a little. And but even at that point, like, I'm not going to obsess about it this time. Like, having gone through this once before, I know the weight will come off, and it's a slow process, that it takes you 9 months to put it on, takes 9 months to at least to take it off again. And that's my attitude this time, and I'm totally okay with that. Just it's going to be a slow process, and I'll get there. But I will start working on it at about 6 weeks. So in terms of my belly, I have been wearing the belly bandit. I think I told you guys that was my plan this time around. I did not do that after my first pregnancy, and I always had the flabby belly that just didn't go away no matter what I did. Even though I lost most of the weight, I still had this protruding belly, and I know that was because I had the muscle separation, the diastasis recti or whatever it's called. And this time I told myself I'm going to be much more religious about wearing belly bandit. I had a cheap one with my first pregnancy, and it just didn't fit very well, and it wasn't comfortable. I didn't wear it very often, and so it didn't help much. But this time I actually got the belly bandit brand. And so yeah, I actually got a size small and a size medium just to have different sizes as I shrink. The day after I gave birth, I could not fit the medium around my belly. It was still too big. And so Bill put them together with safety pins. So I did that for the first 2, maybe 3 days. And it was so effective that after 2 or 3 days, I was able to just switch to the medium. Just took the 2 apart and went to the medium size one. And so I'm amazed. I am amazed. I should do a review of the belly bandit. I'm such a huge fan of it. I can't believe how fast my belly has gone down. I've lost like 6 or 7 inches just in less than 2 weeks. It's crazy. In fact, speaking of that, why don't I just do a little belly shot now instead of at the end. So I'm wearing my belly bandit right now, as you guys can see here. And this is my size medium, and as you can see, it's like, connected. I have about this much space here. It's overlapping. When I started, the ends were apart by about this much, and it's already gone down to here. It's crazy, and that's in less than 2 weeks. So yeah, I'll just keep wearing my belly bandit. I probably should read up on how long you're supposed to wear it. If you guys have ever used a belly bandit, in fact, leave a comment below and tell me, like, how long are you supposed to wear this thing? I don't even know. I should probably research and find out, but for now I'm just going to keep wearing it. I don't wear it at night just because it's kind of uncomfortable at night, but other than that, I'm pretty much wearing it all day, every day. So, nursing. Like I said, nursing is going really well. The other thing I'm really happy going into it the second time is just knowing ahead of time that there is going to be like that week or so that's going to be, you know, kind of painful at the beginning with nursing. And like I knew that going into it this time, expecting that. So even though she had a really good latch, and I know how to get a really good latch with her, I've still had that first week, I still had to go through that like nipple toughening phase, you know what I mean? It was kind of painful for the first week, and I really had to use the lanolin like all the time just to keep it comfortable. And there were a few times that it was like, oh ouch, it's like really, really painful. But I think I've gotten through that initial week, and just as of the last day or two, actually, it's really like getting to the point where it doesn't even hurt at all anymore. So I really think that we're in a good rhythm there, and that we've smoothly made that transition now, so that's great. So yeah, that's it for my 2-week postpartum update. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will continue to do probably a few more postpartum updates in the next month or two. So if you guys have not subscribed to my channel already, please be sure to do so below. And if you liked this video, don't forget to hit that thumbs up button, and I will see you in the next postpartum video. Take care, you guys. Bye.